Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we are doing 1984's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Really, it should be called Indiana Jones and the Cash Grab of Mediocrity.
You're right. It's fact.
This movie stars, once again, Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, reprising his role. Kate Upshaw as Willie Scott. Is it Ki Hugh Kwan as Short Round?
Fook if I know.
And Amrish Puri as Mullah Ram. The first impression I got, movie opens, right?
Yes.
It's the weirdest opening scene. It was almost like it was trying to be a Bond movie.
A little bit,
Like,
yeah.
That's the feeling I got from that opening scene.
Yeah.
But it's they're in the club. There's dancing girls. Willie Scott is singing. This is 1935, so we're to assume that this was a year before the Raiders of the Lost Ark, because I believe Raiders was 1936.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Cool. I want to know what happened to Short. I want to know what happened to Short Round in Raiders of the Lost Ark, because if this is the prequel, he has this great relationship with him throughout this whole movie, and then what? He just fucking ditches him.
Yeah, Short Round gets dropped off at a sanitarium, I think they called them back then. We would call them today Nut House or Crazy Asylum, because holy shit, dude, the stuff he goes through in this movie, kid ain't right.
Indiana Jones is meeting with the mob boss. He's looking for the remains of an ancient emperor from the Ming Dynasty. They make the little switch. The deal goes down. Indy's supposed to get a diamond. Indy gets poisoned by this mob boss. After, he's trying to get the antidote, chaos ensues, and it leads to this running gun battle. The action scenes are always good.
The action scenes are great. And this is kind of where you know you're getting into the weeds already with this movie, is the back and forth between Lei Shao, I think his name was.
Yep.
And Indiana Jones here. It's like so convoluted. Like, give me what you owe me. Here's gold. No, I want a diamond. Spin the table back around. Here's the diamond. Here's your dead guy. Here's a guy slipping in some poison. It's just like, Jesus Christ. Now I need an antidote. Like, fuck. The credits have barely stopped.
Yes.
And I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
like, it's so convoluted. Everything that goes on from this point forward, there's just so many, like, bad M. Night Shyamalan twists in this. It's
then you get, and after, like, the little exchange and the swingy Lazy Susan table that they have, and you got the diamond that's getting kicked across the floor, and the antidote that's getting kicked across the floor, and Willie and Indiana are crossing paths, and did you see the diamond? Did you see the thing? And then ice gets put on the floor, and it mixes with the diamond. There was a lot to take in.
Kate Capshaw's character is like the most, if you're a woman fighting for rights still, like you believe you are being oppressed.
Yep.
Kate Capshaw's the reason that's happening. Because her character is the most worthless thing that has ever been involved. She does nothing but provide comic relief along with crying and screaming.
Is it comic relief, or is it just infuriating to the viewer? Because I was infuriated by her comic relief.
Yes.
The note that I actually wrote on this movie, and her character especially, I said, this is the worst written woman. Yes. One of the worst written women in film history. Her character is so bad.
Oh, it's atrocious. This is what I was saying about Karen Allen's character. Like, the only reason she looked great in Raiders is because you have Willie Scott to compare her to in this movie.
Yes.
And I mean, in The Last Crusade, the Indiana Jones girl in that movie is a fucking Nazi, so can't root for her at all.
Yep.
You know, so you got these two, and she's just, throughout the whole movie, she is exhausting. You put it best. She's just so irritatingly exhausting.
Yes, absolutely. So this whole deal goes down. They get into this running gunfight. You got the little shield thing, and he runs out, jumps out the window with Willie.
Which was a cool scene, the running thing and the
Yeah.
bullets coming through. That was dope.
I liked it. Like I said, the action stuff in this movie is fine. I really like it. But they jump out the window. They get caught by the getaway car driven by the 10-year-old who is Indiana's sidekick, Short Round.
Yes. Otherwise known as Data from the Goonies, right?
Yes.
Wasn't that his name?
Yep. They get to like a little airfield or whatever. They jump on a cargo plane. Indiana fails to realize that it's Lao She, I believe, is the mob boss's name. But his name is on the side of the actual cargo plane that they jump on.
Yeah.
His henchmen are flying this plane. So en route to India, their plane crashes in the mountains when the pilot and co-pilot dump all the fuel and jump out with the only 2 parachutes on board.
And dude, like, look, I know you're a henchman and just an extra, but you're in horrible, treacherous mountains in freezing cold weather in a parachute and a leather jacket. Bro, dump out over a fucking jungle or somewhere. Like, you are so fucked.
I have another. We could actually say this is PSA number 1. So, hi, kids. So if you're flying a plane for a crime boss, people get on your plane and you need to make short work of those people. Here's just a quick thing. How about don't dump the fuel and then parachute out of the plane? How about instead you kill the people that are sleeping in your plane and dump their bodies out of the plane and safely turn the plane back around and just land it at the airfield that you came from? Just a thought, though. That's just me.
Hey, if you want to move up from henchman to crime boss, got to use your noggin.
Exactly. So after this, they wake up. There's no pilots or anything on board. They got to come up with a plan. So their plan, because there's no parachutes on board and no fuel, they're going to crash. They decide to, or Indy decides to get the inflatable raft that's on the plane and jump out of the plane and inflate it as it falls. And then I don't even know how high they are when they jump. I don't know how they survive the fall, but we'll suspend disbelief.
There's no way 3 people in that fucking raft are going to hit ice-covered mountains and just be like, yay, we're skiing. Oops, now we're flying again and land safely in water. Lucky we had a raft.
And then they go floating down said river to where they get to a village in India. They're welcomed, I guess, by some dude and takes them to the village. These poor villagers try to get Indy and his little crew here to help them recover a stone that was stolen from their village. And all this bad shit has happened since the stone has been stolen. And
this is where the movie should have ended, because Indy's reply should have been, oh, cool. I'm not a fucking geologist. I'm an archaeologist. When that stone gets buried for a couple hundred years, then I'll go back looking for it. Till then, no. How the fuck am I supposed to tell this stone from that stone? Because it's got 3 painted lines on it?
Yeah.
No other rocks in India have ever mashed together and created those little stripes or whatever. Eat all of it.
At night, Indy finds a young boy that comes back to the village. Apparently, he escaped wherever the hell he was from. And he brings the little piece of cloth with Sanskrit on it. Who reads Sanskrit?
Sanskrit. You're majoring in a 5,000-year-old dead language. Yeah.
The writing gives Indy a new clue about the missing Shankara stones and where to find them. The village elder believes that Shiva sent Indiana to retrieve the stones and whatever. So he goes to this Hancock Palace to I don't know, do some detective work, him and the rest of the Scooby Gang. They're met by Captain Stubing.
This is where you also get to see, for really the first time, that Indiana Jones doesn't give a fuck about anybody he's really rolling with. Because you have been told there are no children in this village. They've all been kidnapped and taken to this palace that you are going to.
Yes.
Right? You tell your child partner, come on, bro, let's go investigate this child slavery ring. I am not undercover brother. Do I look like Donnie Brasco to you? I ain't going in there.
Forget about it.
So at dinner, Indy starts questioning them about the villagers' claims that the stone was stolen. At first, they dismiss everything, calling it superstition and
Village stories, Dr. Jones. They're just fear and folklore.
Apparently, the dinner in India in 1935 was apparently just bugs and salamanders and, and eyeballs and, hey,
chilled a monkey brain.
I think it's safer to assume that the screenwriting in 1984
yes,
was a little bit more racist than it was now because, dude, they aren't savages, for Christ's sakes. What the fuck? The most high echelon people in India are eating snakes and chilled monkey brains.
Yes.
What? It's still British controlled, and they make a very big point of making it like this is still one of Britain's colonies.
At the dinner,
Sir Fuckface is not eating chilled monkey brains or live little slithery snakes.
Well, that's what I mean. The dude at the dinner is the British regiment leader, Captain Bulbrid or whatever his name is. Like
Lord Fuffington.
He's not eating that shit. It's just not happening. But later that night, because Willie, can't eat the food, apparently Indy does find some, fruit and stuff. So they do have like fruit
apples
and vegetables.
And bananas, but only white people know they're healthy.
So he brings those to her. And this whole scene and this interaction between them two, she goes from
there's nothing you have that I could possibly want
to I want that dick in like 3 seconds. Because he brought you an apple?
Yep.
The whole like I brought you fruit thing becomes oddly sexual, but it goes from screw you to I want that D to screw you again.
Why, you conceited ape, I'm not that easy.
To I want that D to
5 minutes. You'll be back over here in 5 minutes.
So after this, they're playing this whole waiting game to do the dirty, and Indy gets attacked by some assassin, and of course uses his whip to hang the assassin by the strongest ceiling fan in the history of the world. He then goes over to Willie's room looking for would-be assassins in that room, and he finds the little secret passage.
I'm right here.
Hey, I'm right here.
Like, seriously, bitch, how dumb are you? Like,
well, and
even when he's fighting that guy, and she's like,
I could have been your greatest adventure.
You know who wrote this? Archaeologists who wanted pussy. Like that's their wet dream. Like, I could have been your greatest adventure. They just went to archaeologists like, what would she say here? So he goes into the little cavernous thing that they find. And I know it's 1935. Now, I don't know the history of flashlights, but this dude's rocking fucking matches the entire movie. Do you own a flashlight or a lantern? Even Willie has a lantern when she comes in.
Right.
Which she drops and miraculously doesn't start a whole fire, but that's a whole nother thing.
That's because the lantern is feminine. Matches are fire and caveman.
Are they? They burn your fingers, so...
I'm just telling you what the dipshit archaeologist that wrote this was thinking.
So he doesn't use a flashlight. Him and Shorty go into the thing. They get trapped. The ceiling's coming down, spikes and such. And, the feminine woman in her nightie comes through and, ew, bugs. And I can't pull the lever because bugs and things. Finally saves them.
So you're forgetting also her comedic folly through this where she saves them, but then starts it again. Because she's so grossed out because of the bugs.
Yes.
Like, dude, this woman has zero fucking situational awareness. Like, a 6-month-old baby understands more what's happening than she does at any given moment throughout this movie.
Well, here's my question
and she even
about
freaks
her.
out when she has to, like, put her hands on a statue, like the boobs of the statue. It's like, oh! First off, it's a statue. Why are you grossed out by it? Are you 6? It's boobs on a statue. It's not a living creature.
Well, here's my question about her and her character and how it was written.
Why does she exist?
She's a lounge singer in a random Chinese club. Like, she's not... They made her this, like, prima donna... Like, she was the biggest actress and movie star in the world.
I burnt my fingers and I cracked a nail!
Like, even when they're escaping at the beginning and she fumbles around with the gun.
Yeah.
First of all, what the fuck? Second of all, like, I broke my nail and I almost broke a nail. And that's not how... If you're singing for a mob boss in a lounge, like, that's your job, you're not as prissy as she is. It's not how that works. They come upon this it's the ritual where Mola Ram digs into the dude's chest and rips out his heart. Like, that whole scene is great. One of the few, like, the scenes and the setups in this movie are really good. I think I have more of a problem with the writing and
oh, totally.
the direction of this movie.
This was simply a cash grab movie. There was no real story to tell here.
Yeah.
This didn't further the arc or really even the legend of Indiana Jones. It's more of just a completely separate entity.
Yeah. Apparently they have 3 stones, and there's 5 stones total. And that's why they took the kids, because they're in this mine underneath the palace. Like, this is more elaborate than the dudes from Kiss the Girls place. Like, you have the palace, and then you have underneath the palace, you have, like, the little ritual temple thing, and then underneath the temple, you have little kids mining for more stones. And Indy goes in to take the stones. Here's what sounds like, I thought, a woman screaming, but it's a child. He sees that they're getting whipped and they're like all these like slaves. And again, this goes back to continuity to the movie. Because Indy, at the end of the day, even in Raiders, in this movie, he only gives a shit about whatever his mission is. And if it's to find a stone, that's all I care about. If it's to, get the Ark, screw you. I'm going to leave you tied up in the little tent because I got to get the Ark and because I don't care. But all of a sudden he grows a conscience and throws the stone at one of the guards over these slave kids. Like, that's going to do anything, because all that does is lead to him getting captured.
Like you said, the mission was the stone. Even if you want to go back and free those kids, fine, I get it. Bunch of kids are being enslaved. It's kind of fucked up. Don't just pick up a stone and like chuck it and completely reveal your existence in these tunnels. Nobody allegedly knows you're there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you have no reason to alert anyone to your presence whatsoever.
They force him to drink the blood of Kali.
Yep. And
he becomes, the unquestionably obedient to Mola Ram. So Indy is now, at this ceremony where they're going to sacrifice Willie. But Willie then and her comic relief, becomes the first Yelp reviewer ever.
I'm not gonna have anything nice to say about this place when I get back.
Because she lets this line go when she's taken to the little rack. She says, I'm not going to have anything nice to say about this place when I get back.
Yes.
As she's about to get sacrificed.
Yes.
Like, the one thing I liked about Raiders was, and I think I said it in our review, was the subtle comedy throughout. There was just like little subtle things that made you laugh.
Yep.
This was like, I don't know, it was like they were doing like a Abbott and Costello bit. The entire
very
movie,
much so.
With action sequences throughout. They put Shorty in the mines with the rest of the kids. And he quickly escaped. Like within 5 minutes of being in the cave, he makes quick work of busting through this chain.
Tink, 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 I'm free. Nobody else thought of this, by the way.
Well, that was my question. No other kid in this mine thought of this, but
no.
Cool. So he escapes and he burns Indy to get him out of his little trance that he's in.
Yes. And
we realize that apparently that's how you get him out of the trance, is you burn people. So
classic 1630s Salem remedy for, blood poisoning is just to burn you very quickly on the stomach.
Exactly. And
all
then
better.
Together, Shorty and Indiana take out Molaram's guards and they free Willie.
Real quick, Willie goes up and down on this thing over the lava, right? How does she have skin?
That was one of the questions that I asked as well.
There is nary a blister on that perfect face and makeup. It looks like somebody just poured like some Aquafina over her face lightly.
Yeah, like that shit was hot.
Yeah.
No, that's like lava. Like
yeah.
the minute that little thing opens up and you're above it, your skin starts to like melt. Yeah. Like it should have been Melty Faces from Raiders, but it's not. It's just it gets kind of warm and uncomfortable as you get closer to the lava.
Take it from a guy who's passed out on a pool raft on the 4th of July. 3rd degree sunburns will blister your ass up. So will fucking magma.
And she's whiter than you are.
Which is hard to do.
So during this escape, the three jump into a mine cart and are pursued by 2 other carts filled with guards through the tunnels, and they manage to get away. But back in the mine, Molaram and his men knock over the large water tower, sending water through the tunnels, and the 3 barely manage to escape as the water's coming through, and they get out on like the side of the Stonewall Canyon, whatever. And Indy, Willie, and Shorty try to cross a rope bridge. The largest
great
rope
scene.
Bridge. It's a great scene, and it's the largest rope bridge I've ever seen in my life. And also, for a rope bridge in a movie, very well made. Like, but only when it's convenient to the scene, because Shorty tries to run and he falls through, and there's a couple of like the rope is good, it's not weathered, but the wood is super weathered.
Right.
Okay, cool. They get across, they see Molaram, he captures them. Indy's in the middle of this bridge and he's trapped on either side. So for some reason, Molaram and he goes out onto the bridge along with Shorty and Willie for some unknown reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, you got goons, bro. This is the benefit of having goons. Ask Lei Shao.
Yeah.
You make them do the dirty work.
Yeah, like they're on both sides of Indy. There's no way out for Indy. Why are you on the bridge? The fuck off the bridge. But they get on the bridge. Indy says some shit in Chinese to Shorty to hang on to something and cuts the bridge. The bridge goes flying. Guys go flying. There's alligators at the bottom that are eating the dudes, or at least their clothes, because apparently when you hit the water, your body explodes and your clothes just fall off. Then there's the collapsed bridge fight between Molaram and Indy.
Which the collapsed bridge fight is stupid for numerous reasons.
Yes.
But the scene of Indy, taking his sword up and slam it, that is such a great iconic scene.
It is.
As well as right before that, I love this callback where Indy has the two guys now with swords. And he goes to take his gun out again like he did in Raiders and just kind of, and he doesn't have it. So he actually has to fight. Great scene.
Yeah, no,
Great
you're
callback.
absolutely right. But Molaram, during the battle, like he tries to grab the stones and Indy's satchel. And during the battle for the stones, this is where Indy invokes the name of Shiva, yelling that Molaram had betrayed the Hindu god, and the satchels, the stones catch fire and start burning through the satchel. Molaram tries to grab one of the stones, burns his hand, and Indy catches it, and because he's a good man, he's fine. The stone stops catching fire. Molaram then falls into the water and eaten by alligators. And then Indy climbs to the top. This really annoyed me. For something really little, this really annoyed me. During all this commotion, the British captain, whatever, Captain Stubing, he shows up with his gang of infantrymen. And they run off the rest of the guards, right? And they capture the guards. You see Indy's hand come up, and everybody just goes, ha 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 ha. You want to help the fucking dude?
Right.
What's your problem? Why is everybody laughing? He's beat to hell. He's trying to climb up. He's got the stone, and everybody just, let's get a chuckle out of this. Indy, get your ass up here. You fucking uncoordinated ass.
The alligators are getting close. You better hurry. Woo. Fucking pricks.
So, Indiana, Willie, and Shorty return to the village where they return the sacred stone and all the missing children.
Again, prima donna Indiana Jones. Strolling into the village. Me, my chick, my little boy. We're cruising in. Oh, hey, you guys are happy to see us? Guess what else? Here are your children. You took 10,000 kids and had them dip in there on cue?
He slow rolled them.
How long did it take to fucking practice and nail that scene correctly? For you as Indiana Jones, okay, kids, here's what we're going to do. Anybody speak English in this motherfucker, first of all? Because I need a translator. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to roll over the hill. There's so many of you, they're going to see you for miles back. So you got to stay away. Like, I got to have a full conversation with the village elder before you guys dip in. Okay? And then when I'm like, guess what? I want you hauling ass. I know you haven't eaten in like months. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Your village will feed you. But I want you hauling ass. As soon as I say, here's your rock. Ready? Cool. We got it? Go. Fucking
Dude,
asshole.
I can't even get my whole family to jump up from behind the couch for a surprise birthday party. So, at the end of the day, does this movie stand the test of time, Mr. Idol?
If you have a 10 or 11-year-old kid, this is a great introduction into Indiana Jones and that franchise. Other than that, no, I do not like this movie. Let me rephrase that. I like the movie standalone. The second they invoked Indiana Jones's name, the curve got higher on which they were graded.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stand up. It doesn't stand up to Last Crusade. It doesn't stand up to Raiders.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't stand up to any of those. A couple of things, more than a couple of things. Like I said before, the movie is filmed well. The sets are great. Outside of the shitty green screen, the movie itself is great. Some of the writing was more than a bit lackluster.
Oh yeah.
The way they wrote Willie in this movie, Willie didn't even need to be in this movie. They literally could have placed Shorty in Willie's spot as far as like getting captured and getting, put in the rack and like outside of the sexual stuff.
Yeah, this isn't Jared Fogle in the Temple of Doom.
But like, hi kids. So, but no, and I get that, but like, I think I've said this before. This goes to my bigger problem with action movies. That one, if you're gonna write a woman into it, this was just so shitty. And two, if you're gonna write a shitty woman into it, just cross it out. Just use your eraser and just delete that woman. I don't need at the end of this movie the big make out and the elephant with the water and ha 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 and then we kiss. I don't need the guy and the girl at the end. I want an action movie.
Exactly.
I want action, suspense, and then, whatever happens at the end happens at the end. Good ending, the bad guys win. I really don't care. I just want to be entertained. And the way they wrote Willie in this movie was terrible. And that's why I said you could just write her out of the movie and it's just Indiana and Shorty. And that's it. And this would have been a 10 times better movie just without her character even entering it. You can have the shitty singing at the beginning, but like at some point in the movie, she just goes away.
Yeah.
Like, you complaining too much, so I'm sending you back home. Or whatever.
Right.
But just get rid of her character when the big stuff, the meat of the movie starts to happen. Or don't have her in it at all. That was my biggest problem with it. The other problem, and I do like the comedy in these Indiana Jones movies. This one was, I don't know, it felt like forced to me.
Oh,
like
very much so.
And
it was more slapsticky and
a bit over the top.
Yeah.
I like the subtle comedy. I like subtle comedy in my action films. I don't need,
yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be.
I don't need a guy falls down the stairs with boingy noises for me to know that that's supposed to be funny.
Exactly.
So,
like, yeah,
but
just dumb.
Overall, for me, even though I was, during the action scenes, I was entertained, I don't think it stands the test of time. And you said if you have a 10 or 11-year-old, I think the cutoff is 15. Because my kid watched it and bounced about 20 minutes into this movie.
Yeah.
So that's how I can tell you it doesn't stand the test of time.
Fair enough.
Do you have anything else for this movie?
No.
All right. For Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1984's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.